Okay. We're up to end of Seed Gimel. Talked about of Maras Ayin over here. The question is, just want to add one thing that the question is that we mentioned that in a fleshige meal, if the people want to bring in mocha mix or they want to bring, rice milk without the box. Usually the caterer is they don't want to box out. So the question about a sign. The Elchonon, I didn't say this last week. The Elchonon say, but if it's after the meal, very often that's what they do. They serve coffee after the meal. It used to be much more popular. Lately it became less popular. Years ago, after the meal, they would serve this heavy Turkish coffee with milk, with mocha, since the meat is not on the table, so the marasayin is much less, because you have to say the guy says, he probably ate meat. Say ate meat. It's not such a clear marasayin. Marasayin would be that the guy watched, he ate meat, and now he's drinking a coffee. So there's another cooler why at what's his name at weddings or these things where they serve many the fancier weddings, they take everything out and they serve a Viennese table. So then in Becholov there's no meat, there's only nash and sweets, and so the Marasayim is a lot less. I just want to say in Halacha, which people don't know this, that if you ever went to a wedding and they serve a Viennese table. You know what a Viennese table is? Yes. Well, if someone doesn't know, I'm explaining. After the wedding, they clean off the tables, and then it looks like the oilim is still very hungry. They bring in tables of sweets, ice cream, cakes, you name it. I was once by a wedding. I couldn't believe what they brought in. And there's, according to the Shiurim, if you took off all the bread, you have to make a bracha rishona and a bracha achrona. Normally, if you eat sweets middle of a meal, you eat chocolate, you have to make a bracha rishona. You don't have to make a bracha achrona. That's only if it's part of the meal. But if everything was taken out, Shiurim says, then you have to make a bracha rishona and a bracha achrona. So,
for our houses to leave a little bit of bread on the table.
Yeah, but if the Viennese table is the weddings that take everything off, this is a real.
You make a bracha and then you bench?
No. Yeah. Let's say you eat the ice cream. You have to cake. You make a bracha rishona, you make a bracha achrona, then later you bench. It's not part of the meal. People don't have no idea about this. The question
practically in today's day, where we understand that there's a concept such as soy milk and mocha mix, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that if you had a Jewish kosher wedding,
that's that I mentioned last week. I mentioned last week that the Somachanim hold the Sudas Gedoyles. No one's going to walk in the Suda and say, these people over here are not makbid and kashrus. Right. The LA people, they're going to say, probably this is rice. But not so many Chalim hold. And I want to explain why you could be semich on this. It's clear in Shulchan Aruch, I mentioned this when we were in Hilchos Shabbos, Maras Ayin is a metzias. One of the things I find, let me explain what I'm trying to say. One of the things I notice that people have a hard time when a certain halacha Chazal said in their times, which is not applicable. Let me tell you, I teach the Smicha program, and boy, were they shocked. I didn't know that people don't know this halacha. Shabbos, I don't know if you want to hear this. Shabbos, you're not allowed to read novels. You're not allowed to read only things that there's chachma, and the Shulchan Aruch is very machmer. I said to them, I'm not telling any chumras. I took out the Shulchan Aruch. They were like shocked. No SPN. What is it called? What's the sports magazine that was saying? SPN.
Sports Illustrated.
a sports magazine, whatever. And they said, you mean they're not going to read sport? Shabbos, it's clear in Shulchan Aruch, you're not allowed to. So why talking out? It has to do with originally the Chazal, when they asked it, was because there was not many things written. Those days, the only things we're writing was business. And Chazal were afraid if you could read any other thing, you'll come read business. You're not allowed to read anything about business. You can't look at the stocks, you can't read business. So they were all asking, but nowadays, 99% of the reading stuff is not business people. Once the Chazal asaid it becomes asa. So, if you really want to follow the halacha, no, this Baruch Hashem today, there's so much printed that you could read Shabbos and you can't read it. You cannot. Well, newspapers, some hope that you could. That's the machlokes already.
Unless it was delivered on Shabbos.
They're separate. The newspaper delivered Shabbos is a separate problem. But coming back, I want the same thing. But if it's a issa maras ayin the issa, that doesn't apply. Maras ayin is, maybe it was a maras ayin then. If now it's not a maras ayin, it doesn't apply maras ayin. That's all over Shas. You understand? If the issa even there's a famous Mishnah. The Mishnah says you're not allowed to wear silk together with pishtan, because the Gemara says certain wool look like silk. So all the Rishonim say nowadays people are not makbid, because nowadays silk is much more common. People could tell the difference between silk and wool. So you see, we don't say since there's a Mana Gemara the Asa that it's a Mishnah, Maras Ayin has to be a Metzias. It really has to be Maras Ayin. Nowadays you say, it's true, lots of people drink, right? It's much more common the last 10 years than 25 years ago. And somebody's not, he's right. I mean, I know when I said it 25 years ago, but today, I don't think anyone walks into a place, and there's a front place, and he says, well, these people are not makbid the kashas. Right, yeah, right. Yes. You have to really speak up.
What about taking a shower after the mikveh? That one, people.
You're allowed to take a shower. I take a shower every time after the mikveh.
Wasn't there a takana that you were not allowed?
That was the kind for woman.
People shouldn't think that the last thing is the mikveh is a shower.
Or going for women.
But now it's Shabbos.
No, not a Shabbos, not a Shabbos. What do you say?
What's the problem? Not even spiritually?
No.
What's the problem with taking a shower after mikveh?
What's the problem? And I'm is there tissues over here? Tissues. Let me quickly.
Is not saying you should take a shower before the mikveh and after the mikveh.
I just want to say the Gemara says. No, let me start this way. If you want to hear quickly the halacha.
When we were talking in yeshiva, we were told cannot shower after the mikveh.
Okay, let me explain. Let me explain this. Okay. No, it's not going to see. Let me just say.
Washing off all the kedusha.
And let me explain where does this come from. One of the Gemara says in Shabbos, one of the Yid Chesdova, the Chazal Geiza, that you should, if you take a shower, you become tumah. Why? Because in those days, the mikveh smelled terrible, really. People went to the mikveh, not at Chassidus. People had to go to mikveh all the time. Because, if you touched a dead rat, if you were intimate with your husband or your wife, and you were eating truma, so people went to the mikveh very common. It was extremely common. And the mikveh, they couldn't have like we have filters today. I mean, you guys don't know, but when I was growing up, the mikveh was when I was a teenager. Because now, Baruch Hashem, we have filters, we have things, it's a whole different world. So, Chazal said, if you go take a shower, they used to go to take a shower, people are going to think the shower is the thing that makes you tahara. So the Chazal said, if you take a shower, you become tumah. Now, that has to do with the timid Rabbanan, that if you want to touch truma. Now, if a lady goes to the mikveh, it doesn't say any place that she's not allowed to take a shower. There's one Rishon that says, one of the Rishonim, that says it applies to a lady going to the mikveh too. The Chiddush. and the Rema paskins it. Now the Mechaber doesn't bring it down. If if not mistaken, the Sfardim are not makbid at all. The Rema brings it down, and we are machmir on it for a lady that she goes to the mikveh. She shouldn't. So there's a question how far. It means the thing is, as soon as she touches her husband, there are women who always ask me. They're very sensitive to the mikveh. They always put in a little bit of chlorine, and they're very sensitive. I says, if you come home, you touch your husband, you can take a shower. That's a machlokes how much. That is only said, and that's a chumrah too. That's a huge chumrah. But for a man going to the mikveh, is if he goes at Tfilis Ezra, you're allowed to go like a Tfilis Ezra in Maim Shuvim. Do you know that? In Maim Shuvim, in the swimming pool, a man is allowed to go into mikveh for the mikveh. Maim Shuvim means gathered water. You know, the mikveh, the ladies' mikveh has water from the rain that gathers. But Maim Shuvim means that water that was in a vessel and we poured out. So a man is allowed to go. The Maim Shuvim is metam is also the Yitches Dover. So it's ridiculous what people say.
It takes away the tumah, but does bring tahara?
Yeah, if it takes away the tumah, the tahara is there.
Same?
Yeah, of course.
Even the pool?
Even in the pool. The Baal Shem Tov said, they say over in Baal Shem Tov, it's not sure where the source is, that it's gedai to be marked and not to go to Maim Shuvim. Okay, so you maybe try to be marked, but today all the men's mikveh are not Maim Shuvim. I mean, they make a shoker. But to say you can't take a shower afterwards is ridiculous. I know that they teach it not just the Chabad and the other Chassidus too. Has nothing to do against Chabad. It was saying that all Chassidim teach and it's wrong. It's not. It's nothing to do with it. Doesn't matter. No. Okay. See, in Yiddishkeit, I must tell you something very important. One of the things that's frustrating for a rabbi is that often Yiddishkeit, I don't know how you would say it in English, gets stolen in, or gets sieved in, how do you say in English, gets snuck in, things that nothing to do with Yiddishkeit, and things which is against the halacha. You know, distorted, like certain things that...
Many people don't go to the mikveh because they know they can't take a shower.
Yeah, I know that. I've heard there's so many people. I was going to finish that sentence. I heard there's so many people. I don't go to mikveh because I can't take a shower. When I go to mikveh, I mital Hashem Yich and take a shower after. I take a shower first because I don't know. Then I go. I'm not a mefunik at all, but I don't like the smell of chlorine. Very simple. It's not, I'm not a finicky person at all. Okay, let's move on to Bosor. We learn the Siv Daled. You're not allowed to cook meat in a woman's milk. Now, someone asked me this last week, and a woman's milk is you're allowed to drink once it's in a cup. You can't suck even from own wife milk. That means woman's milk. Once it's in a cup, a human is allowed to consume it. So, but the question is, can you make busa b'chulav out of it? You know, is there? So the Mechaber says, "Usa vasha b'chalev isha nemaras ayin." There's maras ayin. People are going to say it's very, very clearly that they used to sometimes do it. It's very, very clearly they used to do it. Maras ayin is maras ayin. If it did fall into a tavshil, brutal, ain't tzurich shir. If human's milk fell into tafsh, you know, it's become, you don't need a sheet. A really milk of a human is manatoira, is mitter, even with the Rabbanim is mitter. He's asking, well, the Rabbi, milk of human milk, even if it's from a shiksa, is the milk okay? The Elchonon says, right before the Siman, it says that if the famous the Samter Chazal, the Ramu says that if a child has to nurse from a vet nurse, once upon a time there was no simulacra b'isai, and if a woman didn't nurse, the child just didn't live. So in Europe, many people had a vet nurse, not because this was just there's no other ways the child would survive. So the first few months. So the so the Gemara Shulchan Aruch says clearly that it's okay, but you should make sure to give the goat, the shiksa, food. She should eat kosher food, so the milk should not be metamtem, not because it's aser, because the milk should be metamtem. The raya for Moshe Rabbeinu. It says that when Miriam gave to Basia Baspara, took the child, tried to give it to the people, no, they didn't want to drink. Peh, the mouth that's going to talk with the Shechina, should nurse from a shiksa. So I once heard Rabbi Yankov Kamenetsky, he said a very good word. He said that's Moshe. It says peh. The Rashi brings down the medrash. The mouth that's going to talk with the Shechina should nurse from a non-Jewish lady. That's what peh should have in Shechina. But why does the Rambam say every Jewish boy? If he has to nurse from a goy, shouldn't you should avoid it, and if you need it, then you should make sure you give kosher. So he said every person is a rui to be Moshe Rabbeinu. You have to hope. So you have to hope that everyone's Moshe Rabbeinu. That said last week over the famous, what's the name, with that Antoninus nursed once from Rabbeinu Kudj's mother, and that caused the child to love Torah. Okay, so anyways, the Rambam says, Nerelef is the Cholshkin, the Usalavashik, the Chil B'chuluf Tameya, of the Evad the Chuluf Tameya, you're not allowed to cook him out of sign, or Busitum B'chuluf Tuur him out of sign, but Davke Busa Behema, but off the Rabun Eiluchish. You know, there's a long arichas in the shach, and I'm not going into this because I sweat last week, the Maisa, we paskin, the Ismar sign, the Issa D'Rabbanan. So, you know, if you want to cook milk with chicken, you're allowed to do it. Just take out the thing and make sure that everyone sees rice milk. Whatever, if you're mixing something that's white looking, mix that milk, that's how we paskin. We paskin, even though we paskin the milk and chicken is only b'derbanan, we paskin is marasayim b'derbanan. Yeah, but by eating, by chicken, we do eat. I mean, that's marasayim. Right, that's marasayim. Now, the next mechaber is also not so much the geya, but I'll just tell you what it says in the mechaber. Beitzim anem tzum ba'oifis. You know, when we are so spoiled, it is amazing. Because our chickens are exactly 6 weeks old, and they don't have eggs, because chickens that have eggs are not so tasty. One time, my wife comes home, she was selling very cheap the chickens in the store. And she bought, and it was big pieces. I said to my wife, it doesn't sound right. There's no free lunch here. And we ate the chicken. It wasn't so tasty. It was a little older, whatever.
They call them boilers in soup.
Whatever. No, it wasn't. They didn't sell it that way. They sold it. And the bottom line is, we have everything scientifically figured out how long it should be, how old it should be. Chickens that lay eggs are not tasty anymore. You would never eat those chickens. That's how we are nowadays. But in places where they can't afford it, they would eat chickens. So a chicken, if you shech and you find eggs inside. Now eggs takes different developments. Now it's called the chelben, I don't know in English, is the white, and chelmoin is the yolk. The yolk is the yellow, and the white is called what? There's another name in English. No, there's something like that. But kitzer, so it has different stages. The bottom line is, let me tell you, it's not the gaya. The meaning is, if you find an egg inside a chicken, we don't cook it with milk. That's the meaning in Kali song. Finished. We don't cook it with milk. No. The egg that you find in a chicken, you know, my children like to make scrambled eggs with cheese. So if you find eggs inside the chicken, you can't scramble those eggs with cheese.
Could you drink milk at the same time?
Yeah, no, so we paskin that you don't become fleshig, the Mechaber says. Anyways, any of these things, that means even it's worse, even though it did not develop into an egg. If you ever saw it, I don't have a picture, but if you ever see it, it looks like a vine and have small bubbles. And if you ate any of those, even though the chayre, you don't become fleshig, and right afterwards you don't eat it together. That's the meaning. We don't eat it together, we cook it, but you don't become fleshig. This is the Mechaber. Mechaber says, Beitzim amtzum b'oifis. So Mechaber is saying, in hem gemurais, it's complete, dan shesh, in hem chelboin. The chelboin is the outer, the white. The Vecholov is the yolk. Abishim ura begin is still attached. Arezi gemira. It's finished. Mitte le'echa b'cholov. You're allowed to eat with milk. Avon ein loy Elchonon. If he only has the yellow usa lavashel b'cholov, you're not allowed to cook it with milk. Avon ochel from atzman. Mitte le'echa gevinner cholov. You don't become fleishiks. Again, we don't. Shach brings down there's so many shittas about it. The bottom line is, the mitigating klal yisrael is, you find an egg in a chicken, you do not cook it with milk. This is a minig. So the whole thing is not much negay anyways. I don't. Okay. Zug de machaber. Hama'ushin. The me'ushin means that you smoke. You take chicken, take meat, not chicken, take meat, and you put it together with milk. You soak it in milk, and you smoke it. Just like you have smoked fish. The smoking, people don't realize smoking is very, very old, because if you can't have fridge, one of the ways to preserve things is to smoke it. I don't know if you know, I mean, it is hilarious, and I don't know what the right word in English to say. Why did the Jews smoke a lot? They said, there's a Yiddish saying, Yiddish has a very interesting way, but it meant that gereicherte Fleisch hält sich länger. Smoking, if you smoke, your body is smoked and it's going to last longer. They really believe smokers are going to live longer. Because smoked meat lasts longer. Today, you know that smoke does not help for anything. There's nothing good from smoking. Nothing. I have a doctor in my shul who's a fertility specialist. He told me the first thing when they come to him, people call him, he says, before you do anything, first stop smoking. It's been proven over and over again. Stop smoking for a few months, the sperm count just shoots right up. It's a fact. Smoking is, I never thought that whatever the sperm has to do all the way to smoking. Yes, it has an effect, a terrible effect. Anyways, but they used to smoke. So mainly if you take chicken or meat and you soak it in milk and you smoke it, so it's a boya in the Rishalma. The Rishalma is mesupik if that's called bishul or not. When the Torah says loy savashel, is that also? Remember last week I saw about tzli. So the Rishalma adds the suffix also by me'ushin. Now me'ushin, v'avishul b'chamet tveria. Chamet tveria is heat. You know what chamet tveria is. Chamet tveria is very, very, very hot, and they use the heat of the chamet tveria to cook. You know what I mean? That the water would go around the pot and literally could cook. Now chamet tveria.
It's like steam. Cooking like steaming it?
Yeah, like
It's in the water.
it's in the water. They put it into the water. Mamish could cook.
In the water?
No, they put it into a pot. They put it into a pot, and inside the pot, the water is so hot that it cooks the. Now, what is the question? Because the Gemara says chamet tveria is not toldo su'esh. Chamet tveria, that's what the Gemara says. Chamet tveria. One of them wanted to say it goes over Pischa Shegehenim, and one of them says no. We paskin like the Madumah. It's not Pischa. It's just from the way scientists now understand it. It's from the inside. It's very hot under the ground, deep, deep, deep. So it gets heated up. There's no fire. It just deep down from the earth pressure becomes very hot, and it shoots out. And that's the why it's the water is so hot. So it's not tolda du'esh.
It's supposed to do a volcanic area. That's what makes it hot.
Well, that's not. I don't think so. I once looked it up.
Yeah, Israel's part of the Rift Valley.
Yeah, but it's not. There's no fire there. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just heat, not fire.
Halachic fire. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so why is this very much Negeya? This is Negeya because according to this, if you use other ways of to heat water, not with fire, electric. So it used to. Let me explain. If you have coils, the coils used to get red hot all the time. That's called fire. The Rambam says that if you take coils are heated till it starts glowing, it's called fire. But today, there's electric coils that do not get red hot. The newest thing people have told me, someone told me got such a range, it does nothing gets red.
That's right.
You have a new range out there?
No. But there's stoves where you can actually touch it, and you won't burn your hand.
Yeah, there's another, and it doesn't get red, right?
That's a different version. That's a version.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get red, hot.
Correct. It doesn't get red.
It's a new thing.
The color doesn't change.
It doesn't change at all. So B'meila, it's not. It's just heat from electric. According to the Rishalma, it's a suffix of this is called Bishul Anat. The Shalman's Mesupik, and the many poskim hold. The Mechaber says it's a suffix. Other poskim hold it's not a suffix. So Menat Torah, it wouldn't be. Why did this negaya? This negaya imtim tzaloima if they make the pizza pepperoni with the electric thing. So B'meila there would be less problem that we spoke last week.
Would that be Bishul Yisrael also?
No, Bishul probably no. Well, it's because this is how we cook. You know, the Raisa we have a rule. That's how it's getting dry. But Bishul, that's the way of cooking. That's normal cooking.
That's called cooking still.
Probably. I mean, I would assume.
How about solar water? So water heated by solar.
Same thing. That's for sure not a problem. If you cook with solar energy, the same thing.
You can't say that the fire.
No, the sun is not called fire. When it says in the food, when it says you cook with the sun, Shabbos you potter. It's not. But you know what I was thinking, that maybe it's not Bishul Akim neither. It's very possible that I have to think about it. You know.
Are you saying there's a way to marinate chicken in milk and then later cook it?
No, I didn't say that. Don't come leave the class. All we're saying is over here, it's a suffix in the Shalman, it's a deraisa Bishul. It's a suffix. And the question is deraisa. With the Rabbanim surely also. Question of deraisa.
So cooking an egg outside the sun.
Cooking the egg outside during Shabbos is mitter. But if you Shabbos, you're allowed to cook an egg in the sun. If you live in, you live in Arizona, and you take out the egg outside in the sun. I had to go once in the summer to Tucson, Arizona. So when I arrived at the hotel, the guy tells me, I know you never were here. If you crack an egg right now on the sidewalk, it will take 2 minutes, it will turn into a cooked egg. It was 115 degrees. And what I'm saying, so if you cook an egg in the sun, then I'll tell you that it's okay. But the Rabbanim also okay. Told us Chama is only also the Rabbanon because people don't realize, won't say, if I could cook with a pot that's heated in the sun, then I could cook with a pot that's heated on the fire. It's only Shabbos with the Rabbanon. It's not Marasai, it's just with the Rabbanon. Not a Marasai, the Rabbanon said it's also. That's it. But here we're saying, it's very possible, I'll look into this, what he's asking, maybe there wouldn't be a problem with Bishul. So if you have an electric stove, it'll save people a headache. In the house?
The maid could cook.
No, I don't know. The maid should not cook, but if she did. Okay, Mavasha b'cham Tveria, cham Tveria, Ishin v'asham cham Tveria, ein lo yikunov, you don't get mal. So microwave, the surely is no Bishul Akim. Because microwave is it's not Bishul at all. It's not fire. Nothing to do with fire. Microwave, it's just, it moves this, how does it called? It moves the cell so quickly that it gets heated. But it's not a fire. So microwave, if you cook with microwave, it's not. There used to be, I said it once before, there used to be a Noach's Bagels. It still exists some places, yeah. So anyway, so they used to have one in our neighborhood, and used to have a big sign, beware that the eggs is Bishul Akim. RC put up a sign. I said, they're wrong. You know, eggs, they make in the microwave, they make it special eggs in the microwave, they have a special microwave, and it's no Bishul, not a problem Bishul Akim eggs. So if you get stuck someplace and you have to eat no bagels.
There's an issue of part-time. Why not? If I walk into those bagels and I bought a...
Back then it was certified kosher.
But it had to owe you the bread. If you bank the pass you saw, it wouldn't be good. No, it had a hechsher.
So what I'm saying is, that's true. I was saying, you would assume that the workers aren't Jewish, but you can also assume that...
Yeah.
Actually, the bagel factory, which is certified kosher by a different certifying rabbi, they actually do, that's where they do the eggs there, and it's definitely goyim that are cooking the eggs, but it's in a microwave, exactly what you're saying. So, that's probably
Microwave is not. So Amavasha b'cham Tver ein lo yikulov v'chein Hamavashel Buser b'mei Cholov. So we're gonna have a machlokes what mei Cholov is. Soon the Mechaber brings two opinions. If mei Cholov is whey, or or it's more, it's a level after whey. We'll soon see what it is. So, we spoke about this once already. Whey, mei Cholov is whey. There's a machlokes what this means. It doesn't mean whey when you make cheese, cottage cheese. The word whey comes. It comes from the word whey. It falls to the wayside. So this is after you make cheese, it falls down. So one opinion holds all the liquid that falls down from making the cheese is called whey. This is called mecholov, menat. It's not called milk, and if you cook it with meat, it's only with the rabbanim a problem, not menat. Others don't know. The first whey is a problem because then they take all the whey, what's it felt, and they recook it, and certain food comes, and then the second time it's called. I said this more than once, because I know that some Chabad Rabbanim Machmar I was told, some Mamekel, that whey, I have the problem in jets because they're teens who like to do exercise and need protein. So the Cholav Yisrael whey is 5 times the price they showed it to me. Literally 5, even more than 5 times.
I heard there's a very delicious
Right?
kosher bar that has whey in it.
Is it 5 times? Is it 5 times the amount at least? And what?
That's all the cake is for.
There's only one Machshel who holds that you whey doesn't have to be called.
What the Moshe holds that way.
Everyone else holds that.
And Moshe holds that way. Moshe the Tshuva says very clearly. No. The only one go because they don't have guts. No, it's clear. If you learn the sugya well, and Moshe says very clear. It's nothing to do. We learned it over here. I showed there's rice brutus. It's like butter. Butter. Even the first way. And it happens to be. It's not the first way. Don't worry. It's processed today. Today it's way.
There's butter in that regard. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's even better than butter. It's even better than butter.
Whey
In
can only
Halacha.
be made from kosher.
Only from kosher.
Whey is kosher.
It's like butter. It's just, it's just they don't want to give hashgachas, but they don't have guts. All due respect to them.
But what if the cow was milked by non-Jews?
We're talking about.
No, I'm saying, even in that circumstance, or Moshe would say it's not even, it's nothing.
Remember we learned butter is not a problem. So butter also, I mentioned this, everyone ate butter. The entire Klal Yisrael, including Crown Heights, for the first 30 years after the war ate regular butter. All of a sudden, one guy woke up, he made a tumult, and then afterwards,
Okay, but I'm asking, if these are, the bottom lake, we have the whey protein.
yes.
What if it's cooked in non-Jewish?
As a OU, as a OU. You only can use OU because they emailed to Rabbi Eidelitz in the Valley, has a site, and he said often if it doesn't have a hechsher, they put in other things which are not kosher. So whey, you must have ashgocha. So it has OU. You don't,
So it's considered pork? No, there could be other. Considered pork? Whey? No.
what?
It's considered pork?
No. It's not part. It's milchiks. But the problem is people who work out need it for the high protein, and they.
So really, it's like a chemical almost. This whey.
It doesn't have a little bit of milk.
It is. It's midrabana milk. That's why it's not menat Torah.
So you tell them they can have, if they keep cholesterol.
Even if they keep chali, so yeah, because it's like butter. It's whey. Butter is also for milk, and butter is not a problem. It's just a huge chumrah that we don't eat butter. And this is even and this is not made to eat anyways. You should know that. The boys tell me that you take whey, you gotta pinch your nose. I don't know that. I don't do it. Is that true? It's what?
They mix it with vanilla and sugar and
Yankee protein bars, it definitely is okay.
It doesn't really taste good. I've seen raw whey.
Okay. Right, so this-
Cranberry lemon bar.
That's part of the whey.
Oh, sorry. No way in that one.
So then you yourself will, you decide to get on a workout program, you would have a weight, you would have no problem.
I have no problem.
OUD bar,
Yeah.
that's way in wrong.
OUD bar, yes.
Maybe that has milk in it.
The OUD bars are different. These are not-
OUD bars, you have to make sure why it's OUD, because maybe it has milk also. We're talking about if it's whey.
Wouldn't the company ensure that a D is put on it if there's whey in it?
They do put on it, yeah, but you have to make sure it's just whey. Sometimes they put milk in these things to give it a better taste.
So you can take your scoops of that, OUD, that's okay.
See, when you buy these protein things, very often they have whey, they also have regular milk, some byproducts of milk to give it a good taste.
Now the question is that on the ingredients or is that something?
So that says in the agree, read the
No
ingredients.
other milk, if you were told by an OUD product that has whey in it and whey only.
No problem.
Last one more time, we'll give you the same answer.
Just to make sure, this is very,
It's protein gum.
Well, you have to wait 6 hours before you can eat it.
That's just, we don't wait 6 hours after milk. No one waits 6 hours after milk.
Right, I mean, after eating meat.
would you require somebody to wait a full 6 hours?
After meat.
After meat, we wait. We do wait. The meaning is to wait.
But there's no dairy.
It is dairy. It is dairy. You're a little bit confused. Let me explain to you. A whey is dairy, but it's not. It's dairy, b'drabanan. It's just butter. Butter, according to the Ramah, is allowed to buy friendship OU butter. It's only became a minig the last 30 years, not that way. But it's butter, it's milk. There's nothing to talk. If you take butter and put it into meat, it's a Bosor Vecholov and Tauber. That's what I'm saying. So there's no problem of Cholov Akim on it. So we're machman on butter. There's a reason why we're machman. So the same thing, whey. Whey is a milk product. So it is milk. It's just not a problem of Cholov Yisrael, a problem. So, okay. Anyways. So the Mechaber says, after the animal was dead, they took the milk out. By Becholov Zocher. Zocher means an animal, sometimes the animal could be a male, and somehow develops udder and it gives milk, sometimes in a freakish way. Or Shebishul Dam Becholov. You cook blood and milk. So all this is puter. It's not a Mamasher Mechaber is puter, but you're not allowed to cook blood and milk. Very interessant. You don't get malchus Bosor Vecholov because all this is not 100% milk. Now, the Shach points out that you see the Mechaber says you're not allowed to cook, but you learned before that by certain things it's not menatoy you're allowed to cook. Why over here? Since this comes from real milk, the Chazal asked the cooking too. Understand? You learned before something it's not menatoy aser. You said it's only you're not allowed to cook. Cooking's allowed. You just don't eat it. Here we're saying don't even cook with Vecholov, even though it's not. The reason is because it comes from real milk. So the Chazal said not even to cook it. Simple. This is very negay. I could hear someone want to cook, for someone else who's not makbid so much, and working for someone and cooking whey and meat to enrich in protein. I want to tell you this interesting story what happened. A few years ago, about 10 years ago, the tuna companies decided to put whey into the tuna. Remember that? All of them. The reason was they realized you put whey into it, it keeps the freshness better. And the only reason they stopped no, that was a different story. No, that's also true, but that's a different story. There was a child who died. The mamish died, but that's a different story. The reason they stopped because a lot of people are allergic to milk, so that's why they stopped. What?
It has lactose in it.
Right. So they stopped doing it. And for a while, remember, you couldn't get tuna. None of the tunas, only dagim you were able to get. And I want to tell you a big secret. You don't pay more money for dagim tuna because it's the same mashgiach there. So one day he puts on one hat, and the other day he puts on another hat. But it's the same. OU has one mashgiach down in the Philippines who does all the fish. It's a rip-off, Okay. Anyway, so Mechaber says, "Ve'ein lo kelchim shim busa b'chulav." You don't get malchus of busa b'chulav. B'chulav zuchar, la'mikra chulav klal. Now the question: does the Ramo argue on the Mechaber, or he's going on chulav zuchar of a male? Some say he's not arguing of a human male. A human male. The Mechaber was talking an animal. And the Ramo was talking on the whole. No, he argues on the Mechaber, on the chulav zuchar, from a male. An animal. Cholav zuchar lamikra chulav klal. The nufa toch a kedei shibusei noisar. It does not answer. Av chulav meisa, from an animal after the death, you took milk out from it. And mechulav osren amachol. Do aser damach grim mechulav atzmoi. Mamei the food will be aser. If you last like getchila, don't even cook like getchila the mechulav. That's what the Ramo is trying to say with the Rabbanon.
So what's the difference in opinion here between the Rama?
The Rama is trying. The Rama is a question. Is the Rama arguing on the Mechaber saying that many Achronim learned he argues on the Mechaber saying may the cholav of a zocher is not milk. It's nothing. Chazal never asked that. It's so abnormal. They don't have to worry about it. But he's adding that may cholav don't cook, and if you did cook may cholav even though it's not menatoida. That's it. That's the meaning. Yes, Shomrim. Now this is important, interessant halacha. The guy is cooking something. You're not allowed to stir the pot, the fire. You hear what's going on? See, let me explain. See, one of the things I want to tell you something very interesting. And you have to, I almost sure I mentioned this before. In those good old days, as I call it, when no one had a fire that you set it and it would burn like this for the next who knows how long. What happened was, you put up coals, and every time you had kept on stirring it. The Shulchan Aruch says, by Bishanakim, you pass by, people just keep on stirring the coals. So you make sure you're in the house and the goy has a pop, don't stir the coals, because the goy may have busa b'chulav there. It's just meat now, but maybe just before you cook milk, or maybe so there's a problem busa b'chulav. The end the Ramo says that you don't have to be makpit. The end of the Ramo says, I want to just explain this because this is a famous Reb Kiva Eger over here, and it's also a very famous Shulchan Aruch, and I have to be magdem how this works. You know, there's such a thing as duveshenim mischaven. If you're not mechaven something, you know that means if Shabbos and Hebus b'chulav too. That means if a person, the Gemara says, a person is schlepping a heavy table in the backyard, he does not know if it will make a groove or not. He's not sure. Maybe it will make, maybe not. So you're allowed to schlep it if your intention is not to make a groove. You're allowed to do that. So, and if it's a psik reisha, you know, for sure it's going to make a groove, then you're not allowed to schlep the chair. Shabbos, you're not allowed to do something that for sure it's going to happen. That's called a psik reisha. Now, the question is, what happens? This, but the Gemara's case is always something that will, an outcome, I don't know what the outcome is. I'm schlepping a chair, I don't know what the outcome is. What happens, it's not that, I don't know the metzias. There's a famous Shulchan Aruch in the Kittah Sachen talks about it. But in our case, I'm going to stir the fire, but I don't know for sure what's in the pot. Maybe there's milk, and I have no intentions cooking busa b'cholav. My intention is only to make sure the fires keep going. My intention is not to cook anyways. They used to stir the fire just to make sure the fire doesn't go out. So Mamela, the Kiva Eger holds, that's the reason why this chumrah does not apply, because it's called a sufik psik reisha. Now, let me make this more practical. Let me just say, I don't know if I spoke about it here, but the biggest problem is that many people live in the neighborhoods where if you pass by, the lights go on. Remember we spoke about it? Yeah. The lights go on. What is the problem the lights go on? So the problem is that you, by walking by, the light's going to go on. And so who says it's a psik reisha? It's not 100%. Why it's not 100%? Maybe he turned the switch off. Right next to my house, I've noticed already that after 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, it doesn't go on anymore. One of the houses. The guy probably has a timer. that it doesn't, he doesn't want it because it goes on and stays for a long time. It's a little, after 12 at midnight, I forgot which time, it doesn't go on anymore. So often, but I don't know the Metzias. So that is that means, you see, normally the question of Sikresha is I'm schlepping a chair and I don't know the outcome. Here is my not knowing what the situation is, it's a different story. Is the question, do we say on this also that it's not a psikration, it's mitzvah? The Rav holds in Hilchos Shabbos Reish Ayin Vav, we say on this situation that it's also called a Duv Shem Eschaven is okay. So the only, I want to just reiterate, the only reason why I tell people not to be samich on this, because the poskim say you cannot do something all the time because you're going to forget yourself. You can walk with your friend. Rabbi said, I'm allowed to walk here. Guess what? It's going to light up soon. Duv Shem Eschaven means you don't want it to light up. You're not in tension. If you do it all often enough, you'll be quite happy the light went on. You know what Duv Shem Eschaven means? You're doing something, but I have no intention the light should go on. But if you do it all the time, you'll all of a sudden say, it's geschmack. But Rabbi said, I'm allowed to walk here. The light is going to go on. That's,
you forget, you should be blind.
yeah, well, if you forget yourself, it's okay. It's not, the reason but you understand what it means? It's not, even though it's not something, an outcome, it's something that you don't know, that is also called the V'Shem Eschaven. So the Mela, the Rabbi Kiva says the same thing over here. I don't know what the guy is cooking in a pot. And I'm not mechaven to cook Bosor Vecholov. I'm mechaven just to stir the coals. That's why it's not a problem. We don't have these problems nowadays anyways. They used to have, the reason they had this problem, they used to share a fireplace together with a neighbor. And used to steer it over here and just make sure the fire is going, and the Geshiksa is cooking their food over there.
Just to be clear, we're not talking about stirring actual food that's in the pot.
Stirring the fire. Fire.
The Isra is
Stoking, who said the word stoking the fire? That's the right word, stoking the fire. They had to, I explained in Hilchos Shabbos, when I first learned, Hilchos Shabbos, to me it was a puzzle. It was a puzzle. Remember the first time learning Hilchos Shabbos as a young man, I was a Bocher. I never see anyone touch the fire during the week. My mother puts on the fire, lets us cook for an hour, then just checks, makes sure. And years afterwards, I realized from all the places they used to mechata the whole day. Because you put on coals. I always say the Chava must have been a genius to figure out how to make bread. A genius should be a genius, you have to be. They see wheat growing. How do you make bread out of this? Someone should tell us someone made food out of this. We could never figure out how to make food. The big figuring out not only just how to make it into bread, to make coals and make sure that the coals should be the right temperature, shouldn't be too hot. Bread, it's too hot, it gets burnt. It's a whole avodah. It was a whole. Every young lady had to know how to stir the coals the right way. So anyway, so that's why it's not the gay boss. I just want to say this is a famous Rabbi Kiva that everyone brings down. The guy was called the Sufik Psik Reisha.
So the case you told us about Palo Alto, the light, that's not a Sufik. It's not Sufik.
No, but it is a Sufik Psik Reisha. A light bulb could have gone out. Doesn't show that.
You still answered this.
Yeah, but it's not real halacha. It's not a Psik Reisha. Psik Reisha, I explained, the Ritva says, you cut off a chicken's head, it never lived. It's no ifs, ands, and buts. That's a Psik Reisha has to be 100%, absolute. The Mashu doesn't hold that way. The Ritva clearly himself, the Ksuba says that Psik Reisha.
You don't know what the Isra is going to be.
You don't know the outcome. The reason you don't know the outcome, because there is an outcome, you're just not aware because you don't know if there's a bulb burning there. Let's say they buy a bulb. When I schlep a benkel, and no one knows the outcome. I don't know how heavy the chair and what is. Here, if you park by the house and the switches, you don't know if the switch is on or not, so you don't know, but someone else knows. It's still called a Duv Shem Eschaven.
Well, what about if I have this thinking outside my own house? Maybe my light bulb burned out.
You're right.
So it's a Sufik.
It's Sufik Psik Reisha.
So therefore I can do it.
No, you shouldn't do it because after a while you're going to get. You're going to say, look, the light's going to go on. That's true.
But the first time, let's say you left your light bulb on your refrigerator. You know you left it on. No. But you don't know if it's going to go. It could have burned out by the time I get there.
But see, theoretically, you're right. It's okay. The only problem is you really enjoy the light there. Problem is you really enjoy the light there.
If I close my eyes when I open it, I'm not going to enjoy it. I just want to get to my refrigerator and I need something.
Theoretically speaking, it's okay. It is.
You can't close the fridge. Yeah.
But now you can't close the fridge.
Okay. I can close my eyes.
Okay. Yes, Shomrim, he says, right? And then, so, once upon a time, people were very, very careful about water. Right, so if you have to schlep the water 2 blocks, you just don't open the sink and let it run. When I first came to Uman, I always say over this, I noticed that boys were schlepping buckets of the goyim, or buckets of water. I didn't know for where they're schlepping. I noticed there's a well. On the first time I saw a well. That had a fancy well. You push the button. But they have no water running. So if you got to carry water. So they used to wash the dishes, and milking the dishes here, didn't spill out the water. They would mix the 2 waters together and give it to the cows to drink. Let the cows see his Geschmack, Bosor, Vecholov. Just throw out the water, it's a waste. So he says not to do it. The question is, that's only chumle gedoyle, there's nothing wrong mixing water. It's not cooking it, no, it's just a mechaber is the end, it's a chumle gedoyle. The Siman nur, oit koste, the keli shoyse v'mayim lechfifes rosh, and a shamush boy, the ois nois ma'efish alakila, the regides hen las arba Bosor Vecholov. They, believe it or not, they didn't have shampoo. And they didn't believe it or not, I once asked the manager in Ralph's how many cereals they have. She told me she'll come back next week, she'll tell me. And the next week afterwards, it got me an answer as to how much shampoo, she didn't want to tell me. But they asked her how much cereals. So Ralph's officially sells 128 cereals, just for the record. And people stand there, they don't know what to buy. Because you have they'll kick their head, and they kick their hand, and they don't know what to buy. Anyways, I'm saying, so what happened was, what I was going to say, so they didn't have shampoo. You know what they used? Ashes. Imagine, tell your wife, I'm bringing you original health shampoo, the original healthy shampoo. Today everything is the old days. I'm bringing you the original, it's not much ashes they used to use. Bosor Vecholov ashes. So the reason the Mechaber says not to use it because in the fire they used to burn, used to hot, sometimes meat would fall out, and sometimes milk, and it became the ashes, and the ashes of Bosor Vecholov. So that's why everyone screams. Now, Bosor Vecholov itself even turns ashes also. Remember I mentioned that. But here it becomes nifset nachila before it has a chance to become Bosor Vecholov. So it's a huge chumrah. The Rambam says in a minute. So the Rambam says.
Why wouldn't you say that once it spills out, it's part of the coals, and therefore
You just said.
you can't use those coals to cook further?
Well, no. The reason you can use the coals because the coals has nothing. Who cares about? See, if an isanur comes into something, and you have no no from the isanur, there's no problem with the coals. The coals are not a chepzer that becomes asa. If Bosor Vecholov fell on a coal, I could still use the coal. I'm not using the Bosor Vecholov to heat me. It's just on top of it is Bosor Vecholov. Not a problem. But the ashes gets burned. The meat gets burned, the milk gets burned. So they say by the time it gets burned, before it has a chance to become Bosor Vecholov, it gets burned, it turns into ashes. Okay, and he says that they used to have to heat up the house, not to be so dry. That's where I understand this, all the shas. They used to have a fireplace, and the top of the fireplace used to have water to make some vapor in the room. So I made it, don't use that water, because sometimes they cook on top of it, sometimes milk spritzes, sometimes meat spritzes in. So I made it's a problem with Bosor Vecholov. So he says, with the Avid.
Sorry, Rabbi. Sorry. That's throwing the coals thing versus, you see the coal is the coal, you're trying to cook with the coal. And so what Bosor Vecholov, the coal, we don't really care because we're not trying to cook that. But if the Bosor Vecholov itself, we want to take those ashes.
That's the question, because the question, they turn into ashes, and those ashes are a problem.
Now, when I wash my dishes with my milk dishes, and I wash my meat dishes, I want to give water to my cow. I don't care about the Bosor Vecholov that affects the milk.
Which case are you talking? The first case?
Right. So
First case we're not worried about. We're worried about not for the cows. We're worried about mixing meat and milk. So there's nothing wrong with mixing meat and milk. So that's just the problem is not the cow eating it. I'm mixing milk and meat together.
it's the Halacha.
Yeah, but maybe I shouldn't mix it. That's what the Elchonon say. That's why it's a chumrah, which it doesn't make sense. No. Maybe I shouldn't mix it because next time I might cook it. So they're saying, the Ramon says that's a chumrah you don't have to worry about. That's all he's saying.
That's when you don't have to worry about the
Right. The ashes also now. Because
The
of
milk,
what?
the milk water and the meat water from the dishes, you can feed your cow.
You can mix them together, you can feed to the cow, because the same thing, all these chumras don't apply. The havim which should be, it's also because you're mixing Bosor Vecholov. The havim in the ashes should be also because the meat turns into ashes, the milk turns. So the Chaim say it's not true. As soon as it hits it, the meat becomes not edible. Once it's not edible, the meat, then there's no Bosor Vecholov.
it doesn't matter if it's edible, if I know there's a problem, no?
If once it became Bosor Vecholov, that means if it became Bosor Vecholov and then it dripped in, by the time it has a chance to become Bosor Vecholov, it turns into unedible food.
Is the temperature at the outside as well, in terms of cooking, the measurement of what cooking is?
Yeah, cooking, once the Yetzer has the power of cooking.
Okay, so I'm trying to make it practical today. If a product is made from a meat byproduct that's inedible, perfume, whatever it is,
It's not meat anymore.
it's not, and so that doesn't matter if it's
Okay, the Tchila, he said, the Ramuz says, you don't have to worry all about those chumras. All these huge chumras, all the Ramuz saying that this whole thing says chumra, don't worry about it. We don't have any practical things nowadays this way. I don't think anything. We live in, you know how we live today? I didn't want to disappoint this lady. A lady calls me up in a panic. Now, she's not a young lady. She has a house full of children. She's one of my daughter's age. She must be about 34 years old. She calls me, I bought my steak, cooked chicken in the parva oven. What a mistake I did. So Shmamino, she has 3 ovens. Fleshik, parva. I didn't have patience to tell her that your mother didn't have it. Today, I'm just saying, it's all chumras, and people make showers from all the chumras, which is not negay. I'm just saying how we live, Baruch Hashem. But the truth is, you don't need a fleshig oven, you don't need a milchig oven, you don't need a parva oven.
So what did you tell her to do with the parva oven?
I stopped arguing with people. I just tell her, burn it out for an hour, and it becomes parva oven again. I used to tell people it's not a problem, and they say, but what, Rabbi? It's not a problem. My husband doesn't. So I should give a whole speech. I stop giving speeches. Okay, so the Mechaber. See, this is another typical thing that how things slips into Klal Yisrael, and believe it or not, my daughter just got married. Well, can I not another daughter? She had such a hard time in the new apartment. She grew up with different sinks and different ovens and different sides to the kitchen. She's living in a newlywed apartment, a 2x2, and there's just one sink, and she says, every day I feel like the kitchen is treif, because we live this way. We Hashem I have a friend, a close friend of mine, who built a kitchen for himself. So he built a Pesach digger kitchen separate. But not only did he build picture, he built milchiks, fleischiks, and parv. For the Pesach. Yeah, I Baruch Hashem, he's a wealthy guy, so instead of using the money going to who knows where and use it for. I'm saying, but it becomes then a new standard. You know what I mean? I'm sure in all of your profession, certain things changes. You need if you're and I once overheard someone explain this to me in by murder. Today, they since this high-tech technology, they expect higher standards, and things change. And kashas also, people think I must have a separate oven, otherwise it says you can't live it this way. Okay, zog the mechaber. Oh, it's late. So let's learn the mechaber. Chaber am vasher shlil. If you cook a shlil, Vecholov shlil is a placenta. No, shlil. I'm sorry. Shlil is the baby itself. Shlil is the fetus itself. Avashel b'cholav is chayev because it's regular meat. Chen ochloi. Aval, he says, but amavashel shalya. Shalya is the afterbirth. Or is the hide. Begidem, be'atzumais. You cook sinews, bones. Now bones is bones is a problem. It's only if there's meat, it's for Bosor Vecholov. He was saying it's not really Bosor Vecholov. If there's marach marrow inside it, then it's surely Bosor Vecholov. Nothing to talk about. We're talking about there is no real marrow in it. It's just the bones itself. So the bones itself. Remember, I once told you, min ha-Torah, you could take chamor, bones, and make yourself a soup. Make it better. Take chicken feet, chazo fislach, and make a stew out of it. Something with the Rabbanim also. Why? Because Chazal say bones is not meat. It's not meat. It's just. But with the Rabbanim, it's also. So over here too, the Rabbanim said the bones, if you cook milk, is a problem.
If bone is not open to marrow.
You took out all the marrow. You sucked out all the marrow.
So it has to be
no marrow. The ikra kanine to find marak and puter. If it's also puter, v'chein ochlan puter. All this is not min ha-Torah. It's only with the Rabbanim. It's what mitzvah, right.
But if the marrow is still in the bone, and the bone is.
That's then it comes out. We do say it comes out. It will come out. That's all the chayim in the Rambam. Always. Okay, Rabbi Sai.
What's the ovens? Like if you have an oven which you're cooking meat in, you can just immediately go ahead and cook it.
If you want to do yes, you could go if you have a new oven, then no problem.
Yeah, if you have a new oven and you use it for meat, you can go use the milk too. There's no self-cleaning, no waiting.
I want to be marshmallow, put it up for 20 minutes.
Very interesting. Okay.